On the outskirts of a small town, nestled between rolling green hills, lived a young man named Liam. He had always been fascinated by the idea of success, but he struggled to find his own path. Growing up in a modest home with hardworking parents, he had learned the value of perseverance, yet he often felt lost. Every time he tried something new, doubt crept into his mind, and he gave up before he could see the results. His biggest fear was failure, and it held him back from even trying. One day, while walking through the market, he overheard an old man telling a story to a group of children. The man's voice was warm and full of wisdom as he spoke about a traveler who climbed a great mountain despite facing many obstacles. Liam stopped to listen. The traveler had no special skills, no riches, and no guide, yet he reached the peak because he refused to turn back. The old man concluded, "The only difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the courage to keep going." These words lingered in Liam's mind. That night, he sat by his window, staring at the stars, wondering what his mountain was. He had tried many things, learning music, starting a small business, even writing, but he always quit when things got tough. He realized that his fear of failure was greater than his desire to succeed. He decided it was time to change. The next morning, he set a goal. He would start a small bakery, something he had always dreamed of. He had seen his mother bake the most delicious bread and pastries, and he wanted to bring that joy to others. However, he had no experience running a business, and he barely had enough money to buy ingredients. The doubts crept back in, whispering that he would fail, that people would laugh at him, that he wasn't good enough. But this time, he remembered the traveler from the story. He chose to ignore the doubts and take the first step. Liam spent weeks learning how to bake, experimenting with recipes in his tiny kitchen. Some days, the bread was too hard, the cakes too dry, and the cookies burnt. Frustration threatened to take over, but he reminded himself that every mistake was a lesson. He saved up money by doing small jobs around town, cleaning shops, helping farmers, and even painting fences. Slowly, he gathered enough to buy better ingredients and a small second-hand oven. His first customers were his neighbors. He handed out free samples, nervous about their reactions. Some loved his pastries, while others gave him honest feedback, pointing out areas he could improve. Instead of feeling discouraged, Liam took their advice and worked even harder. He adjusted his recipes, learned new techniques, and stayed up late perfecting his craft. Word spread about the young man who made the most delightful bread in town. Soon, small shops started placing orders, and people came to his home to buy fresh loaves every morning. His confidence grew with each passing day, but challenges never stopped. There were days when he barely made enough to cover costs, times when he doubted whether he could keep going, and moments when exhaustion tempted him to quit. Yet, every time he felt like giving up, he remembered why he started. Months passed, and Liam's bakery became a favorite in town. He rented a small shop, painted it in bright colors, and named it the Brave Baker. People loved not just his pastries, but also his story. They saw the boy who once feared failure turn into a man who refused to let obstacles stop him. One evening, as he closed his shop, the old storyteller from the market came in. He smiled at Liam and said, "You remind me of the traveler I spoke of that day. You climbed your mountain." Liam felt a warmth in his heart. He finally understood that success wasn't about being the best or never failing. It was about never giving up, no matter how hard the journey seemed. And so, Liam continued to grow, not just as a baker, but as a person who had learned the true meaning of perseverance. His story inspired others, proving that the only way to fail was to stop trying.